Hm. Das ist sehr praktisch und herzlich willkommen. Freut mich, dass ihr
Liebe Kollegen, bin ich zu hören? Auf jeden Fall schönen Abend oder guten Abend. Ich höre ja gar nichts.
Wir hören gut.
Ah, das ist ja so.
Don't be worried, there is a sound. What you saw a moment ago are 254 books that did not win. So if you found all of your books there, I'm sorry, but that was the jury's verdict. These were the 254 books that did not make the last round. And I will now introduce the 10 shortlist books from the DAM Book Award 2020. And we'll start with this table. These are the 10 shortlist books. We'll start with the first one here. Maybe the camera can see it. Mapping the Croatian Coast, a road trip to architectural legacies of Cold War and tourism boom by TU Wien, publisher Jovis, Germany. And the authors are Irena Atanasova, Karina Blim, Natasha Brodozic. Congratulations. The next one on the shortlist is this book, The Walter Benjamin and Albert S. Project by Jaap Sam Books from the Netherlands. The author is Maurice Bogart. The third one is Architektur auf gemeinsamem Boden, Positionen und Modelle zur Bodenfrage, Lars Müller Publishers, Zurich, Switzerland. The author is Florian Hertwig. Number 4, House for Sale, a book by the Canadian Centre for Architecture in Montreal, publishing house Edizione Coriani. The author is Michael Meredith and Hilary Sample. The next one is a big one. Obra Gruesa, rough work about the work of Smilan Radic, and he's also the author. The publishing house is Hatjekanz, Berlin, Germany. The next one is by one of my predecessors, Vittorio Magnano Lampugnani. The name is Bedeutsame Belanglosigkeiten, kleine Dinge im Stadtraum, publishing house Klaus Wagenbach, Berlin. And the book number 7 is this very sweet little book, Alvaro Siza Vieira, A Pool in the Sea in Conversation with Kenneth Frampton. They both are the publishers as well, the authors, and the publishing house is Acta Publishers at Barcelona in Spain. Number 8. Another Corbusier book this year, it's Unité d'Habitation Type Berlin, Konstruktion and Kontext, publishing house Jovis, Berlin, and the author is Bärbel Höckner. Number 9, this book here, Eine Geschichte des gemeinschaftlichen Wohnens, Modelle des Zusammenlebens by Birkhäuser Publisher Basel, Switzerland, and the author Susanne Schmidt. And the last one is a very peculiar one. It is called Carousel. Carousel Confessions, number 1 and number 2. The publishing house is König Books in London, UK, and together with Studio Jan de Vilder from the ETH Zurich, who is also the author and publishes these magazines, as you can see, with various authors. So we come to the next table, which are the 10 winners. Back here, the camera will show them as a group, but we will go into them one by one. I have some statistics for you. We have 274 books that were handed in, of which 252 were from Europe, 22 from out of Europe. In the top 20, we had 18 publishing houses, 2 of them double. From Europe, there was 11. From outer Europe, 4 of them, which we will talk about later. Canada, we just saw. There's also Japan, Hong Kong, and the US. And we will now, maybe the camera can show some of the jury members sitting there. There is, at the far end, Oliver Elser from the DAM. Then we see Martin Selinger from the Friends of the Architecture Museum. We see Nina Sieverding, Jonas Lequant, Rebecca Kremershof, and hiding back there is Matthias Alexander. And he was the one with the noise. Now we'll start with the first one, Jonas Lequant. Please come here. And we will talk about this book. The winner, Schiphol, the book, Groundbreaking Airport Design, 67 to 75, publishing house NIE, 010 Publishers in Netherlands. And the author, Paul Meurs and Isabel van Lent. I hope they are there. Jonas will give them a sound soon. And the jury member, Jonas Lequant, is sitting here, and he will read the jury verdict, which he wrote himself. And then we will talk to the authors. Jonas, your turn.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to be here, and it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Schiphol. And I'm going to read you the jury statement right now. The view into the history of an airport that Paul Meurs and Isabel van Lent offer in their book Schiphol, Groundbreaking Airport Design 1967 to 1975 seems almost prophetic today. While travelers rarely find their way into the airport halls at present, designers revolutionized the design of guidance systems at Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport in the 1960s and 1970s. With the same clarity with which travelers have been guided through the modular airport architecture since then, the volumes designed by Studio Beukers, Holmer, leads through the cultural history of the airport and its groundbreaking design. The captivating selection of historical black and white photographs of everyday airport life shines in a silvery glow, bringing the history of Schiphol to life and lends cinematic qualities to the reading experience. From the presentation of the content to the workmanship and its printing, the book follows the highest quality standards, drawing the best lessons from its subject matter and approaching it at eye level. So to talk with us about this book, we have here Elko. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can. Can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you. Perfect.
Great.
And who's with you? Is Paul there?
Yes, Paul. Yeah.
Are you there? Can you hear me? I can hear you. I can hear just fine. And Heiko, are you there too?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, we are here too.
Perfect. So nice to see you. Paul there?
Isabel.
Yes, Paul. Yeah.
Isabel?
Isabel, you're there too. That's so great. So, what made you want to do this book? How did this all come about? Why do a book about an airport?
Here too.
Perfect.
We are here too.
Perfect.
Isabel?
You're there too. That's so great. You're there too. That's so great. What want to do this book? How did this all come about? Why do a book about an airport?
Here too.
Okay. Shall I give an answer to that? The Schiphol airport is always changing and transforming the airport. And the architects dealing with that, the supervisor, said in order to deal with the future, we have to know our past. So Schiphol commissioned us to do a research about the history of the airport. And that was the start of this book. Answer to that, the Schiphol airport is always changing and transforming the airport. And the architects dealing with that, the supervisor, said in order to deal with the future, we have to know our past. So Schiphol commissioned us to do a research about the history of the airport. Yeah. And that was the start of the book. That's the airport is always changing and transforming the airport.
So, what was the research that you conducted at the airport?
This was us to do a research about the history of the airport. Yeah. And that was the start of the book. That's the airport is always changing and transforming the airport.
So, what was the research that you conducted at the airport?
This was us to do a research about the history of the airport. And that was the start of the book.
I'm sorry, I have trouble making out the question. There's a bit of a delay, I think. Can you repeat?
Can you hear me right now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Yeah, I think the delay is gone right now. So my question was, what kind of research did you do at the airport? What was the work like?
We researched, we did a lot of literary research and also went into the archives of the Amsterdam archive and the archives of Schiphol itself. And we wanted to make out how Schiphol was designed the way it is designed. Mm-hmm. So why does it look the way it looked? And what were the decisions the designers made? And why, what did they do and how did they look at other airports in other countries? And what were the examples of Schiphol? So we really wanted to make a link between the history and the spatial, the way it was designed. So that was the question for us. And first we just made a research report for Schiphol, and later it became a book. And I think that it is really it's really beautifully done by Beuker Scholma. They translated our analysis into a book that was really conveying the Schiphol feeling from this period. It is all about the pioneering, the luxury, the belief in progress, the colors, the house style. Everything was translated into a book that really oozes the same atmosphere as Schiphol. It was really like a dream, you know. Now, when we talk about airports, there's a lot of critique. But in those days, it was people were fascinated by it, and that is something you really can see when you look in the book, I think.
Yeah, that's true. And what were the guiding principles for the design of the book? Because if you say it's a research project, I mean, it doesn't look anything like a research project. It's like I found it to be like watching a movie about the 60s and the 70s, and all the black and white, which is it just stood out in this silvery glow. And yeah, what were the guiding principles in that?
There were a couple. Actually, the conclusions of our research now it's something that the book begins with. Mm-hmm. There are 5 different principles. And one that is very striking, I think, is the peace of mind of the travelers. So people, if you went flying, that was really a stressful event because that was not something you did every day. So the whole airport oozes tranquility and clarity. So when you come into the airport, you can see the planes standing by and you know where to go, and it's all very clear where you need to go walking and where you can shop and where you can sit down. That was something that was really important in those days. Of course, now it's completely different, but that was one of the principles. Also, it was very important that it could be expanded, because they knew that it would grow, that it would be very, they had to expand it. But how do you do that? Because an airport was quite a new phenomenon. So how do you make a building that can be expanded in different directions and be compact at the same time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we have to come to an end because we have so many more people to talk to tonight. But thank you very much for being here, and congratulations again for this beautiful book, which I think is one of our most beautiful we have this year. Yeah, thank you so much, and enjoy the evening. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I think we.
Yes. We'll come now to the next one, book number 2. This is Quirino de Giorgio, An Architect's Legacy. The author is Michel Carlana, Luca Mezzalira, and Crucio Pentimai. Publisher Park Books Zurich, and there will be Thomas Kramer, the head of Park Books, along. The jury member Oliver Elser will read his own verdict on this book.
So, hello everyone. I am on screen, right? Or yeah, okay, fine. So, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to introduce a book by Park Books publishers. It's about the architect Quirino de Giorgio, and later on we will see more about the architect and about the authors and about the whole design issue. I'll start with reading the jury statement. The life of the architect Quirino de Giorgio, and he lived from 1907 to 1997, ranged from Italian fascism to concrete brutalism. All his works were created in the Veneto. The authors and the photographer, his name is Enrico Rizzato, have embarked on a joint journey to these buildings. And it is precisely this kind of approach that is captivating, and the amazing conceptual this architect. So the text meanders in a way in short paragraphs between the pictures, the site plans, and the drawings. The reader enters somewhere, stays there for a while, returns to the text at a later point. So it's a kind of derive situation when you go through the pages of the book. Sometimes a long footnote leads somewhere in the depth. Then again, one is carried away by the photos into this, what we like to call an architectural road movie under the more or less gray sky of the Veneto. The cover, and that is already the first question to Thomas Kramer, the cover of the book remains a mystery. We think of aluminium, the material that the architect Giorgio may well have accompanied throughout his life. And so I hope I'm connected with Thomas Kramer from Zurich. Thomas, can you hear me? Hello, hello. Thomas Kramer, is he somewhere?
Yes, I'm here now. Maybe.
Ah, fantastic. Very good. His life. And so I hope I'm connected with Thomas Kramer from Zurich.
So now I'm back. Do you hear me? Good. It is somehow difficult because we have twice sound about 20 seconds delayed again. So no, but I am very happy for your award. I need to tell that this is now really a problem of this online version, because the people who really did the book couldn't be invited. They are 3 Italian architects and 1 Italian photographer. They did the book in a wonderful way, and actually also the design. So why there is this aluminium cover, this stupendous idea where we as publishers first had to reflect it's a good idea or it's not a good idea, but it turned out extremely well. And all the merits for this book go to the 3 editors and the photographer, who really did an astonishing job together. I really have to say, this is one of the projects where we as a publisher are only involved by saying, oh, wow, that's a super book. We want to publish it and pay for the production. But it's really all their merit that this book is such a good book.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell us a bit more about the background of the participating person? They are do you already say this? They are architects, or what is their intention to work on this somehow forgotten architect with this kind of wide range of work? Yeah, as I said, from fascism to brutalism in a way.
Yes, the editors are architects. The editors also, I think all of them, I'm not sure whether all of them or not, are lecturers. So they work in the teaching, in the university field as well. Of course, you see it's a very careful view and a very careful reflection on this specific man and on what he did and how he built over all these decades. And also it's a very careful confrontation with his built work. And I really think that's only can be done by architects themselves, because this kind of close reading of a work needs the own experience of an architect. I'm not an architect, that's why I think the special closety to this to the object, to the architect, is really rooted in their virginity, their closeness to doing architecture. But what I really find astonishing is that, I mean, most architects that do books are too close to their topics. And they were very good in reflecting a lot how to do the book and then doing in a really very well thought through and well reflected style, kind.
Mm. Yeah. There was once this kind of series of books about North Italy in the 60s that were also done in your publishing house. Is a kind of new series of? Will there be a second one of the same team, or was that a one time effort to dig into this to the life of Quirino de Giorgio? Is there a continuation? Is there something more coming from those sides?
At the moment, I don't know of another project in this kind, but of course I pray and I hope they will one day do one. Northern Italy has a very strong architecture in the pre-war, in the in-between wars, and in the post-war area. And there are a lot of, actually there are other very good and interesting projects on Northern Italian architecture that will be published in our house in the next year and in the next years. There are some other Italian books. It's less that these editors now are the new thing, but Northern Italian architecture is really a very fascinating one. We will have a big book soon, and then probably next year another one as well. Yes.
And can you tell us a bit more about those next book projects coming from this region? Is it too early, or can you?
No, it's not really too early. I'm a bit too tired.
Okay.
No, there are two other books. One is about it's a big monograph about an architect that is quite famous, but his name just has fallen out of my mind. It will be back soon. Storyteller. I will be back, huh? It's okay, here he is, Carlo Molino.
Ah, okay, of course.
Carlo Molino, yes, we'll have a big book on Carlo Molino, architect and storyteller. And this is a big book about all his work and very in-depth reflection, about 300 or 400 pages for the first time, really, really well documented, the whole architecture oeuvre.
Okay, that would be a whole new topic to talk about all those Carlo Molino books that were published in the last years, because maybe it's book number 20, I would say, but I'm sure you will do some of those kind of fundamental books on Molino, hopefully. So Thomas, thank you very much. Peter gives me a sign. We're switching to the next. And we get back to you soon, because Park Books did win a second time with another book, and which is also on the table here, what will come later. So we first switch to Berliner Porträts by Walter König. See you again soon. Bye bye.
So the next winner is this one. Oliver will stay here. He will present it again. Berliner Porträts, Erzählungen zur Architektur der Stadt. The authors, Lukas and Tobias Fink, Ruben Bernegger. The publishing house, Verlag der Buchhandlung Walter König, Cologne. And I think Lukas and Tobias Fink, Ruben Bernegger are all three there. Annette Becker wrote the jury piece that Oliver will read now.
Okay, so in 2018, young architects interviewed protagonists of the Berlin architectural scene of the last 50 years, so to say. The exciting thing about the narrative is the selection of the interview partners. It's Inken Baller among them, as well as Rob Krier, Klaus Zillig, Roland Korn, Manfred Zumpe, Volkwin Mark, Rolf Rabe, Hans Kollhoff, Hans Stimmern, Arno Brandelhuber, and Matthias Sauerbruch. Thus, it becomes clear how a cityscape in its various facets is created and has been created. In addition to the different theoretical approaches and thematic focuses, the personal perspectives are documented. The volume, edited by Lukas Fink, Tobias Fink, and Ruben Bernegger, it measures, are we quite precise? It measures. It's a small book. It's like a pocket book. It's 13 by 20 centimeters, and it has 264 pages and has a pleasant feel, as it is a soft cover. In the folded dust jacket, a city map with legends make it easy to find the projects illustrated in the book. Parallel to the book, a website serves as an online archive, and I think we will talk about this very soon. This kind of close connection of a book and the online resource. So hopefully now I'm connected to one of the editors of the book, Lukas Fink or Tobias Fink or Ruben Bernegger. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, we are here.
Ah, great. So it's Tobias Fink.
Yes, right.
Hi, it's great.
Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. We're all here. It's the three of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're glad to be here.
Yeah, fantastic. So again, congratulations doing this book.
Thank you.
I want to start with kind of where I ended with the jury statement. Was it a difficult discussion to convince the editor to make the whole content of the book also available as a website where you can see all the videos, all the full text of all the whole content, basically. You can get it for free. So you can get it for free. So why shall I buy the book? Was that ever a decision or a discussion?
There was never really a discussion whether to publish only the book or only the video archive. We initially thought that there's a very different experience to having a book to read. So I actually have it here. It's, as you said, a very small book where you can see there's images of the buildings the people talk about, and then there's the written interview. And there's a whole different experience to have this edited and much shorter and more precise interviews in the book compared to the videos on the website where you have the filmed buildings. So it's more like a walk through the city with the videos and maybe a more precise experience with the book. So we thought it's two very different media to experience.
And yeah, then let's talk about the selection of the people who you talk to. Can you tell us more, because you kind of I see there in the selection an attempt to bridge this kind of long debate and this kind of long fight in the architectural scene in Berlin, and not only in Berlin, about kritische Rekonstruktion or not, about the rebuilding after 89, and so. And sometimes I have the feeling that you want to get rid of that. And please tell us more about the selection of the people.
Yeah, maybe I can jump in there. That's true, I would say. Maybe in that sense, we are also lucky because we are kind of another generation. So we have not been part of this debate and this fight. And in presenting all those very different positions equally in this book, it's also a plea for a dialogue between those positions and also a plea for a heterogeneous and pluralistic city. And also during the interviews, we recognized how all these different characters develop their position out of the same context of the city and of a historical context, but it's always a very subjective interpretation of this context. And in this, we also found there lies a certain beauty, and we want to have all these different positions existing next to each other. And for us, this also makes the city in the end, and there's, in our opinion, no sense in fighting for your own position, but to coexist.
And so you don't have a kind of outspoken position to this debate of the 1990s, or what's your position in that? I mean, was it too strict, the architecture of the 90s in Berlin, or was it not? Was it a good decision by Hans Stimmann to have this kind of critical reconstruction, where you can say, oh, it's not critical at all, it was just reconstruction? Was this good for the in your opinion? So what's your point on this?
Yeah, no, there have been some positions like the one of Stimmann, who also, who have been pushing their own position so much and not accepting others. That's certainly not what we stand for. But in a certain sense, we also found there is, one can argue for this position, but how it was implemented, it's definitely not in the best way, I would say. So yeah.
So I think we have time for a last question to you. So what's your what's your own background? You are all architects, and please tell us a bit more about your background.
Yes, we are all architects. We two, Lukas and me, we studied here in Zurich, and now I work here also in Zurich, and Lukas is teaching at the school here in Zurich. And Tobias is a student in Munich. So we are quite at the beginning of our profession, and this was also for me like an entry point, or like a first view in the profession, and how different positions of those offices and of those persons exist.
Okay, so there will be another book on another city, or then now you you start building?
There's another book in plan, but it's not another portrait of a city. It's but it has similarities. It's also wants to contribute to re-evaluation of 1970s architecture, starting from a city close by Frankfurt, Offenbach. We are in the financing phase, still looking for support. I hope it will be out soon.
Okay, Two thumbs pressed for you. Okay, so thank you so much. We go to the next book, and yeah, say goodbye to you, and all the best and good luck, and please come by when you are in Offenbach. Feel invited to come to the museum. Okay, goodbye. Bye.
Yes. So we're on to the next one. It's the book called Design DNA of Mark I, Hong Kong's Public Housing Prototype. The publisher is Rossmann Y in Hong Kong, and the publishing house is called MCCM Creations. And we took a talk with them a bit earlier because Hong Kong is 6 hours ahead of us, and we'll show you now the talk that we taped this afternoon. Here we go.
So thank you very much for joining, and congratulations that your book, Design DNA of Mark I, is one of the 10 winners of the DAM Architecture Book Prize. And so, yeah, I will read, first I will read the short comment of the jury, and afterwards we will make a short talk about the project. Okay, I start reading. Hong Kong is known for its high-rise residential buildings. This typology goes back to the first public housing buildings, the so-called Mark I blocks, which were built in response to a fire catastrophe in 1953. Between 1954 and 1961, the enormous amount of 146 Mark I blocks were built for over 300,000 mostly needy citizens. The author, that is you, Dr. Rossmann Y, succeeded in speaking with the 104-year-old architect of the Mark I program, that is Michael Wright, who now lives in London. The book is
not here now. He passed away at the age of 105.
Okay. So the book is an excitingly written research, a mixture of science and with a deep individual approach. We do not come so often across a building monograph that is presented in such a casual, light, and sometimes even ironic way. I want to say, and the design of the book supports this open approach, and one is even tempted to see this kind of open approach even as a political statement in the current situation in Hong Kong, maybe. I hold it again to the camera. You see here, it's a bit like a manual. It has this kind of ring binding, and then the material goes on. And what I want to ask you, or what I want to ask you is to elaborate a bit more about your research project in the Mark I building.
Okay, thank you very much. I must say I'm very excited, and I'm also happy to get the prize on behalf of the whole team, And for the research, because that is for the Mark I, and which if you look at the book, and then that is a 6-story at first, and then later on it's a 7-story, very large horizontal slab block, and which is so different from the prevalent housing in Hong Kong, and which we used to have a small vertical kind of shop houses, Chinese shop houses we have, or some very large, and then what we call the composite building. And then, but then the Mark I is so different. And then the most important thing is, we have the fire in 1953, Christmas Day. And but then 4 days afterwards, and then the government said, okay, we will shoulder the responsibility to house the people, and which deviate from all the previous policy. And not only that, in mid-January, it's already got a design, something like what we have at the moment. And so you know, it as an architect, you know, it triggers me. So where do it come from? Because it doesn't resemble any prevalent housing typology in Hong Kong. And so, you know, that started the journey of the, you know, chasing that. And luckily, what I found is in Hong Kong, there are some sample, which is the police merit quota in Hong Kong. Very similar that we have the single unit and then we have the shared toilet. But when I further check, in fact, in UK, because that is also very alien to Hong Kong. So I think it must come from UK, okay? When I searched in the UK, and then I found that, in fact, there isn't any police merit quota there. And then the police, you know, just stay in normal housing. So I tried to, you know, investigate. Oh, most 85% of the British, they stay in the kind of called terraced housing. So I actually went to UK, you know, a few times to do research. And then so for that, it explained why it is a huge slab block. But like the balcony access or like the shared toilet, I can't find it. So I tried to check the low-cost housing in, you know, there for the working classes. No, it doesn't resemble. I found a balcony approach there. So I look at that social housing, the council housing. And well, yes, it is a similar, but it is not the same as here still. But then it's only until I went to Leeds and then I found the back-to-back, what they call the back-to-back terrace housing. And then so it explained that why the two units, you know, back-to-back and with a balcony approach and with shared toilets. And so that is something very interesting, you know, on the journey. And but then of course I later found out, so why? Because in normal terrace housing in UK, they don't have the balcony approach. So why is it this back-to-back they have? And then later on, I found that that is in the way back in the 17th century. And then that is for the, you know, for the avoidance of the tax. And then so they have this kind of a device.
Yeah.
And still, and then so that is the UK influence. But in Hong Kong, the Mark I, there is the rooftop primary school, which I don't think elsewhere got that. But then because of the immediate after war, we lack of any schools. So we use the rooftop for the school and the ground floor for the shops, for commercial. And also it is not very common practice elsewhere. So that is the local practice. And one thing is, I think probably many other places, we're not allowed that, is to just have a single room to accommodate the whole family. And then because I think even siblings of different, of opposite sex, they need to have separate rooms. So all these are the local influence, and in fact many more as shown in the books. So that is a very interesting journey by itself. So that's why we want to make this into a book.
Yeah, and so it is also your PhD work, right? Or was it a PhD?
Yes, that's part of my PhD research on this. And also because one thing is I have been working in the public, you know, the department, the housing department, which is the department to provide public housing in Hong Kong for many years. So I have this kind of first-hand information. Yeah.
Okay, and can you tell us a bit more how the story went on? So why did the Mark I program stop, and what came afterwards? Because when we think of high-rises and of housing in Hong Kong, we always have this high-rise structures in mind, but which are also in the very beginning, as far as I know, were also built as public housing, not as private enterprises, right?
Yeah, indeed. The Mark I, as you mentioned, it stopped in 1961, right? In fact, it is replaced by the Mark II, Mark III, Mark IV, Mark V, and up to Mark VII. And until it is, there is some minor changes, you know. In fact, we are trying to do the best, probably, you know, to suit the society. So it's evolved. And it's until the 1973, when the government started to think, well, we need to, in fact, we need to, instead of just for the refugees at the very beginning, it is now for the poor people. And so we have this as the public housing. So we have reform in the department, the Housing Authority, Hong Kong Housing Authority. And then later on, we have this trident block, this linear block, and which is to name according to the configuration of the block. The harmony block later on, or the cruciform block, which will be my second book. I hope.
Okay, fantastic. we're looking very much forward to read it. Perhaps one last thing I want to ask you is, what happened to the architect afterwards, after he designed the Mark I? So this Michael Wright, did he continue to work for the housing department in Hong Kong, or what happened to him after he made the design for the Mark I?
In fact, he is the chief architect. The one who really do the design was another architect, a senior architect, and whose name is George Norton, who has passed away. I can't find him. And in fact, I think Hong Kong people should thank Mr. Michael Wright, because he has done a lot of public works in Hong Kong. Civil work like the City Hall or the government house, and government office, and then a lot of public buildings in Hong Kong. And then after he retired, he goes back to UK.
Okay.
Way back.
Story.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell us just one sentence more? The publishing house of your book, it is called MCC. MCC Create, and what is the story of this publisher? Because we did not come across it yet. What is it?
Yes, I really need to thank MCCM Creation. And this is a boutique, I would term this as a boutique publisher. And that's who really use their heart. And I want to thank Mary Chan, and who's got the commitment and also the trust in producing this book. And also the editor and Wing Chan for doing all the editing work, and Eddie Wong for the cover design, and also the book design. And then if you can spare me another minute, I'll explain the design of the book,
Yes,
and also the editor, Anna Kaur and Christy Fong for the editing. And for the book, if you look at this, the cover is use a very special cartoon kind of paper, right? And then so this and the colors resemble the government file. If you know the British one, it's like a file. And when you turn it on, and there is the spiral. So it is like a file, and so it is investigative, and then so you can look at it. And then when you look at the design, and then you see a big circle here. In fact, it's not a circle. If you look at it, whenever there is a circle, there is a magnifying effect. So that is, in fact, yes, that is a magnifying glass. And so to investigate, to find out the traces, and this in the inner leaf as well. And then the binder, there is a story on the binder as well. The green color, when you look at it, of course, this is kind of Tiffany blue or Tiffany green. And then this green color is, reminds us of the paint, the emulsion paint on most of the families in Hong Kong in the 1950s. And the people like this green color. So it's got the story there.
Fantastic.
And, and the book is, and you can open wide, and so you are like yourself is a detective, and so you are looking into the thing,
Okay, so that's the magnifying glass. Yes. Okay. So thank you so much. It was wonderful to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
We're looking really forward for your next book. We stay curious how the situation goes on in Hong Kong. And again, thank you to you, and also to the publishing house, and also all the best wishes to the designers that did a great job on this book. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I say goodbye. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
So we come to the next one. Thank you to Hong Kong. And now Vokabular des Zwischenraums, the interstitial space. Auch bei Parkbooks. And we have Thomas Kramer, head of Parkbooks again. The authors were Angelika Jupin und Richard Zemp. And Martin Selinger will read the text, which was written by Danny Alexander Lettgemann for the friends of the DAM. And we have Thomas Kramer, head of Park Books again. The authors were Angelika Jupin and Richard Zemp. And Martin Selinger will read the text, which was written by Danny Alexander Letkemann for the friends of the DAM. Again. The authors were Angelika Jupin and Richard Zemp. And Martin Selinger will read the text, which was written by Danny Alexander Letkemann for the friends of the DAM.
Okay. First of all, congratulations to the authors Angelika Jupin and Richard Zemp, and as well as Thomas Kramer from Books for the beautiful book and for the prize. I just read the verdict of the jury. With this beautifully crafted book, which lies well in the hand, the author illuminates what you call the extended facade space, the space in front of, behind, between, and on top of the houses. Has been important not only since Corona, but since the pandemic, the space has become especially important. The 7 terms or categories such as camouflage, fort, compensation, topics like proximity and atmosphere, appropriation and scope, eye-catcher and distraction. The book shows very successfully how structural densification and spatial atmospheric quality need not to be a contradiction. The book is designed in a simple but high quality way. Typography, pictograms, and photographs come together harmoniously on these pages. The gluing of the book spine is a particularly nice detail. The book is designed in a simple but high quality way. Typography, pictograms, photographs come together. Thomas Kramer again. Just a few questions about the book. When I have a look at the book, it's very interesting because we as architects also deal with bringing together different disciplines and people. You as a publisher, you always have to bring together photographer, designers, together with the content. How do you deal with these different actors? Disciplines, people.
So actually, this book, as well as the Querini di Giorgio book, was a book that we were not really involved a lot as a publisher. And one can really also here just congratulate the editors. They did a wonderful job. The designers did a wonderful job. The whole project, I think, the study project, the research project before doing the book was obviously already very well conceived. And so the book, how they bring along the content is really good. I am really happy because what I think this book is doing very well is that it takes a topic that is of importance not only for architects but for everyone. I mean, that's really a topic. The in between housing spaces is a really important topic in Switzerland, in Central Europe. This is one of the most important, in my opinion, questions where a lot of things don't work well because nobody has them in mind when planning the building, or not enough in mind. And I really think they did a very well book because it's so easy accessible. I mean, the vocabulary part is very good and the case studies are really telling, and it's brought together with a concept as a book that's really speaking to a broader audience. So it's really, we were very lucky to have this. I have to tell, it's already ours in 2nd edition also.
So thanks very much, and it's a pity that we don't have the editors and the authors here. But it's I can understand what you mean, because architecture is all about the things in between. So it's that why we are making architecture. It's for the people and for, so it's very very condensed and very interesting small book. Congratulations again, and
thanks very much and goodbye.
The next one is Ludwig Leo Umlauftank, this one, by Spectre Books in Leipzig, publisher Philipp Kurz, and we have Pablo von Frankenberg here, and there's the text by Wilhelm Opatz, who's not here at the moment, and I will read his text in a moment. And so, congratulations to Spectre Books and for this wonderful book by about Ludwig Leo and his Umlauftank in Berlin. The text is written by Wilhelm Opatz. The obviously young designer, Xian Mao, has the greatest joy to create a book about a monster, a dinosaur. The Wüstenrot Foundation has renovated this enigmatic structure and documents it in this publication. The cover is so simple, but grandiosely designed with two special colors, blue and pink. Actually, like the building itself, it needs no typography, no title, says Wilhelm. Only at the third or fourth glance does the supposed graphic become a reading line. The foundation, Wüstenrot, itself takes a very low profile with a logo on N4, meaning back cover. An invigorating mix of documentary and new photos, black and white and color, plans, interviews, and drawings, very complex but visually coherent, presented on 290 pages. Text, heavy and wide, single column, fits the theme. It is a great pleasure to experience the building. The publication succeeds brilliantly in doing that. So, who do we have here now? Please. Pablo von Frankenberg is there. Hi.
Hi.
So,
Hi.
are you
So much. Yeah, sorry to. Yeah, I have to apologize for that. I'm really honored. We are all very honored by the award. But it actually surprised me at a teaching position in Austria. So, what do you do in Austria when you're surprised by a fantastic award? You go to a cafe house.
Sound has a problem here.
Could you understand that? I'm sorry about the noise in the background, but I was really much surprised by this fantastic award. So I had to go to a cafe house in Austria to be able to talk with you. I hope you can understand me.
Yeah, that fits very well the whole setup of the whole book. Please tell us how you got the idea to do such a fantastic book on Ludwig Leo's Umlauftank. We know that the Wüstenrot Foundation repaired it and paid for the reparation of the renovation of this fantastic building, which everybody knows that has ever been to Berlin. It's quite something. So please tell us the story of this book and this building and how you came to do it.
Yeah, well, actually, I did the concept for this book, and I also had some contributions to it. Basically, it was the refurbishment of the building that needed to be documented by the Wüstenrot Foundation. And we decided to do something that is a little bit broadening the perspective on the work, because basically we were dealing with three subjects that are not very easy. The one is heritage protection, the practice of heritage protection. The other is young landmarks. I'm not even talking about brutalism, but landmarks from the last 50 years, which is also not very sexy, and also architecture, which is outside the architecture domain, something that is not very broadly focused on. So what we try to do is broadening the focus and trying to make this book more interesting for like a broader public by mixing cultural analytic perspectives, by giving it a design that is maybe a little bit unexpected, but although very fitting, but also by introducing artistic visions on it, by, for example, the more literally and poetic contribution by Felicitas Hoppe. So we try to gain a lot of perspectives on a very, very interesting building to make it accessible to a very broad public. So and that's why I'm really, really honored and pleased that we are in this prestigious award selection.
This one on. Well, we were, as you noticed by my reading, this was a text by a graphic designer who very much enjoyed the way the book was designed, typography, images, and so on were introduced. And it is a book as colorful as the building itself. And so congratulations to this wonderful book and to Spectre Books for doing it, and to the Wüstenrot Foundation for financing it, I guess. And if they sell now enough of that book, so that's going to help it too. And enjoy yourself back there in where were you, in which bar?
In Austria, like in a cafe house. You know what you do when you get unexpectedly an award like this. Yes. So thank you again very much, and we're gonna celebrate as far as that's possible.
Yes, go ahead, do it if you're still allowed to in Austria, wherever you are in Austria. Good luck and have a good evening. Bye-bye. Thanks a lot.
You too. Bye.
So we come to the next one, which is the Holzbau, a fantastic book from Japan, which, as you can imagine, is something. Japan is another 6 hours ahead of us. So this is another film that we will put in with these architects from FT Architects, Katsuya Fukushima and Rai Sawaki, who did this book, Holzbau, Timber Architecture in the Early Modern Part of Germany, and the film is going off. Oh, die Stimme fehlt. Oh, no, but the voice was on the other microphone. I suppose it was on. Now we will have this film, and so please go ahead and we show the interview with Katsuya Fukushima and Hiroko Tominaga and Rei Sawaki. Hello. So who do we have here? My name is Peter Katsura-Schmal.
Hi, my name is Katsuya Fukushima.
Katsuya Fukushima, you are the editor of this wonderful book.
Thank you. Dankeschön.
So, first of all, thank you very much and congratulations. You are one of the 10 winners of the DAM Book Award, which is being awarded in very few time, with this wonderful book, Holzbau, and the second name, Timber Architecture in the Early Modern Period of Germany. It is a book published in Tokyo at Garden Books and is being distributed in Europe by Idea Amsterdam, I think. Let me first please read the text to you, the little text on the quality of this book and why we as a jury gave this one of the DAM Book Awards. A small Japanese architectural office, FT Architects, researches modern timber construction in Japan and traces it back to its German roots in magazines and books. It travels with the whole firm to Germany and visits examples of pre-war and post-war buildings. This beautiful book is a different East-Western view of global influences, a documentation of this research trip with very atmospheric photographs, email correspondences with local architects, and drawn analysis, and of course, comics. This enchanting manual by Garden Books is distributed by Idea Books in Europe. It illustrates an exciting transfer of knowledge that has never been told in Europe before in such a way. In the preface, FT Architects writes how they opened up a field for small offices like themselves to present research as part of their work, and that they hope this book makes you want to set out on a journey. Now, this is quite exciting, and I want to, as you see, there's a little poster on it. I would like to present what I just said in words to the people looking onto, that we see here the original magazine in Japan. From when was this magazine, please?
It was wait a sec, I have to check again. 1938.
And why was this magazine so important for you?
なんでこの雑誌はそんなに重要だったの？
ドイツの木造技術が日本に伝えられた最初の記録だと。
So basically, it's the first traces we can see how the German knowledge of timber was transported into Japan.
Meaning that you analyzed the magazine that was printed in Japan, and you went into it and you saw these projects in the magazine, which you then visited in real life in Germany afterwards.
Exactly.
And how long were you traveling in Germany?
2週間.
So 2 weeks.
Yes. And how long were you preparing this trip?
どれだけ準備したかと。
まあ、1年ぐらい.
About a year, I guess.
About a year, which was well researched. Congratulations. And there is quite some projects in there which I have never even heard of. So there is your trip, and there is some of the points. And under Frankfurt, first stop, we see the German Architecture Museum. Wonderful. So you were in our library.
Exactly.
And then you went to visit these projects, like here, the Einstein House Kaputt, with your own photographs and your own research and your own analysis of this project. And tell us, please, what was the most exciting for you in these timber productions that you saw?
今まで実際建物を見て何が一番印象に残っているかと。
ドイツの人たちがそんなに古い100年前の木造建築を今でも大切に使っていたこと。
The most impressive thing for him was that it's all the buildings that we visited is basically over 100 years ago, but still people are going to keep maintaining it in a very nice quality. So that was the most impressive thing that he saw there.
And I think that you were inspired by the Zollinger construction method of using small pieces of wood and making them into large span constructions. And did you produce an own work of one of these constructions in Japan, right?
型網構造みたいなのに影響を受けて、日本でも同じようなものを作っているのかと。
全くないと思います。
It's a bit different actually. The timber buildings that we were always doing wasn't really influenced by the German ones, but maybe because there were traces that came in the 1930s, maybe that kind of, transcended to our work. So for us, it was very, it was very impressive to see the buildings that were built 120 years ago. And still, we can see the kind of similar qualities that we have with the buildings.
And why did you decide to produce a book? Which is not the normal thing to do after an office visits, a visit to another country.
やっぱり旅行してその体験が素晴らしかったので、自然とみんなに世界中の人たちに伝えたいという気持ちになった。
So when we went out on the journey, the experience that we had was just so marvelous that naturally we wanted to share it with many people, and then the natural conclusion would be to publish a book.
Is that your first book?
これが初めての本ですか? Yes, this is our first book.
Oh, so it's not such a natural thing.
True. Yeah, that is true.
But you did, you see, your very first book now really made it. So maybe you should continue on your journey. And we are very, very anxious to look towards your second book. And we're very sorry that you won't be here in real life, but you will later see the whole thing unravel at 5 p.m. German time. And then with this little conversation of ours being presented as a film then. So this is quite wonderful. And would you please tell us who was all involved in this book project?
この本で関わった人たちの名前をどんな人たちが関わったのか教えてもらえるか。
あと僕と富永博子と、元永仁、本橋仁、あと沢木礼二郎、あとプリントデザイナーで西村さんですね。
So the core members would be Katsuya Fukushima and his partner Hiroko Tominaga. Plus that there was the curator of the Kyoto Modern Museum, Jin Motohashi, and then myself, Rei Sawaki, who was the employee of the office. And then the designer was
not somebody in the office. Somebody.
No, not sorry. I should get his name straight. Yuichi Nishimura was the designer of it. Basically,
and
we were.
Who did this?
This was by Hiroko Tominaga. She's actually also a published comic artist in Japan. So.
Oh. Well,
besides being an architect.
And did she already leave? It's 9 p.m. now in Tokyo.
Well, she wanted to be here today, but there are schedules with the school and stuff. So.
Okay, great. So send her my regards. Fantastic comics. This is, and who did all the photographs?
It was all by Katsuya Fukushima.
Me. It's me.
Did you take a Leica with you?
Like
no. It's small camera. My camera is so small.
Wonderful. Fantastic.
Thank you.
So congratulations once more. And it's great. And maybe we will see you one day in real life. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very honored to receive this award. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you.
So, hello to Tokyo and back to the DAM. Book number 8. Die Ökonomisierung des Raums, Planen und Bauen in Mittel- und Osteuropa unter den Nationalsozialisten, 38 bis 45. Publishing House DAM Publishers, Berlin, author Richard Nemetz. And Philipp Meuser, publisher of DAM, and Richard Nemetz will both be here. And jury member Rebecca Kremoshoff will now read the text that she's written herself. So please, Rebecca, it's yours.
So, hello. Thank you. First of all, welcome and thank you for joining our little party here tonight. I will just read the text now. Without doubt, the 12 years of German nationalism were the period of the most serious changes in Europe during the last century. In this extensive work, The Economization of Space, Robert Nemetz examines the spatial or urbanistic occupation policies in Central and Eastern Europe. The special feature of this well-founded treatise is that the author comparatively examines the role of spatial and urban planning in relation to the regime's efforts of Germanization in Central and Eastern Europe. This approach follows for a profound examination of the differences in the National Socialist urban planning strategies, as well as their local characteristics. The restrained and clear design of the book makes it easier to deal with the complex subject matter. This is supported by numerous photographs and original sources. The Economization of Space is an impressive book which shows the work that went into it. So these is what I felt mostly about this book. And now Richard Nemetz is here himself, and I just wanted to ask you, how did you get to this topic?
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Mm-hmm.
It was a little bit time I need to development this project. This is
I believe.
yes. This is my habilitation. It means the second book, and normally the time for the publishing or for the reaching time is something about 5 or 6 years. And it was exactly the time I need to get this 4 kilo book.
It's heavy.
It's heavy, yes. And this book based on a very simple idea. We have one space, territorium, and the space is organized in some space or very special spaces with the special cities. And these cities, these central cities, were very important for the completely development of the architecture, of the influences between the Germany and between the East Europe. It was the structure of the book. One territorium and main cities. And in these cities, we can see a lot of very good development on the field of the architecture.
Yeah, and it seems that you have visited a lot of archives.
The archives are, for me, as historian of the architecture, the primary source, of course.
Yeah.
Yes?
No, go on.
Another source is the context too. The city and the city and the archive. These very special sources give the opportunity to get a really good work and a work about the ideas, and you can see the architecture if you get a comparison between the reality and the archive.
And what did you find out between in the comparison of archive and real cities? Are there still some relics?
No, there's no difference between the reality and the archives, because the archives are the reality. we find in the archive the truth, because we have I get to the ad fontes, to the first sources, and it was not a meta research about the research, but it was a research about the architecture. And I find that the architecture was very good organized. I find that we have a very different, a great difference between Germany, East, and the territory in the near of the Germany. There was a sum of a priority. And mine thesis was that there's no ideology in the architecture, but there's the economic side of the architecture. It is a completely new way of the thinking about the architecture. How, I mean, in the research, how it is possible that we get new cities, how it is possible that we have the possibility to create a new infrastructure. This is there's a lot of economic issue behind this planning. It was the main thesis for me, the economic size of the space.
And what was the most impressive fact that you found yourself?
There's a lot of impressive effect. I would say the important thing for me that the National Socialists have a priority list. There are people, they must be deleted. There are people, they must be grow up. And in this priority list, we can find a lot of priority projects. It means infrastructure, urban cities, and the one and the project and the buildings projects.
Mm.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now.
Yes.
No, yeah, you're back. Yes. Okay, thank you so much.
Another special thing is the topic of the collaboration. This is a very sensitive topic in the Europe of today, and I think then we must go this way to check another position of the national architecture. They was involved in the development in the National Socialism too.
So one last question. Are you planning on doing more research on the topic or go in depth in some
Thank you very much for this. Yes. This is a very good question. I've got a new topic in some territory, the Czech Republic, the Slovakia and the Poland. And there's a lot of job to do. I hope I have the possibility to get another project in this direction.
So I hope that too, and I want to congratulate another time for winning our prize tonight and for your work. One can see how much you have been putting into it.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.
So, thank you very much, and I also congratulate Philipp Meuser, the publisher from DAM, who's watching in here at the moment, and we will switch over to our next book, book number 9, which is Behelfsheim, self-publishing, and the two photographers, Enver Hirsch and Philipp Meuser. It's not the publisher, Philipp Meuser, but the photographer, Philipp Meuser. Matthias Alexander was in the jury, and he's going to read his own text, which he changed a lot. That's the way it goes with our people from the magazine, from the press. Here's the text you're on. Go ahead, please.
Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. Congratulations to Philipp Meuser and Enver Hirsch, the two photographers who made this book possible. It's called Behelfsheim, or Makeshift Home in English, and it's a self-publishing book, the only one which is rewarded tonight. The theme of the book is the makeshift homes that were built in the last years of the Second World War to provide a roof over the heads of the bombed out people in the German Reich. They were simple barracks, often built by the people themselves. Many of these makeshift homes were converted into permanent dwellings in the post-war period, giving them a completely different appearance. The two Hamburg photographers, Enver Hirsch and Philipp Meuser, located several of them in Hamburg and photographed them. The results are exterior and interior photographs that document the state of construction without denouncing the buildings as aesthetically deficient. The atmospherically dense photographs are accompanied by excerpts from building instructions from the time of their creation. Architectural historian Jan Engelke provides a historical classification of the building, while authors Holger Fröhlich and Julia Lauter contribute a successful satire of current architectural debates in the form of a one-act play. In terms of design, the book convinces with a calm layout, a pleasant feel, which is not least due to the use of different types of paper. So I think Philipp Meuser is here. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us tonight. So will you tell us something about how this book came about? What was the original idea? Was there a personal link to the theme?
Not really a personal thing. It began for a group exhibition where we as photographers recognized that many documentary photographers traveled somewhere else to find the supposed exotic themes, and we thought that this might be possible in the city where we live in. So we gathered 10 photographers and worked on different architectural topics and how the city is changing. And we originally wanted to do something else, and then we recognized these houses which we never heard before, and there's not really a spotlight on this type of buildings. And yeah, somehow we got more and more into it, started to research, and found out that there are still several around, fortunately.
Is it difficult to locate them? Is it difficult to find them in Hamburg?
Yeah, it's not really registered where they are. Some are just somewhere around in the city. A lot already have disappeared, but we trace them in these allotment garden areas where many survived to this day. And sometimes you cannot really tell if this was an original Behelfsheim of this type the Nazis invented. But somehow sometimes you see it very, very clearly. And then the people who live inside, most of the time they know about the history of this place. So in these allotment gardens, it's quite easy to find them.
You are two photographers who work together for this project, but the photographs seem to be made in a very similar style. So did you talk to each other how to photograph them, or how did you manage to build one, I know, closed picture? Yeah, we really worked together. So we were photographing together, and it's because it's not only this act of photographing. We also had to research and to decide how we want to show these houses, how we want to photograph the interiors, the exteriors, and we worked with a large format camera, so it was a really slow process. And yeah, we were really photographing together. So we were deciding which house to photograph and then setting it up together. And so it's not that I made these images and Enver made these images. Sometimes we really cannot remember who had the original idea or who clicked the button. That was not really the important thing. But yeah, we melted into one person. You're doing an exhibition right now at an Hamburg gallery, right? Yeah. So you can see the pictures in larger scale, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, we have quite a big room. It's, I think, 150 square meters. And the exhibition is in the Freelance Gallery in Hamburg and is still open until the end of December. So a lot of time to see them.
So everybody who can go there in these difficult times, yeah, please go there. Thank you very much, Philipp Meuser, for joining us tonight. Congratulations again, and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias Alexander. Congratulations to Philipp Meuser. And now we come to the last winner, which is this very heavy book here. I have in my hands Eileen Gray. It has been produced by the Bard Graduate Center in New York. And it is an exhibition catalog that came up 7 years after the Grand exhibition at the Pompidou, and I think they worked together on this book. The publishers are tonight represented by Chloe Petiot and Nina Stritzler-Levine. I think Nina is here from New York, and the text and the jury member Nina Sieverding wrote the text, and she's going to be presenting this winner now to us. Please, Nina, go ahead. Microphone is on.
Is that too obvious? A Gray book about a designer and architect with the surname Gray. There's a publication which itself looks like a small concrete block through a gray colored edge, also capture the lightness of the designer's work. These were the questions we asked ourselves when evaluating the book. And yet, it is unbelievable what the editors Chloe Petiot and Nina Stritzler-Levine have compiled on 500 pages. with illustrations of sketches, drafts, paintings, plans, photographs, furniture designs, textiles, drawings, documents, and letters. The book gives an overview about Eileen Gray's multifaceted oeuvre. And not only that, the publication that accompanied the exhibition at the Bard Graduate Center Gallery in New York also shows a private side to Eileen Gray as a friend and also as an Irish woman who felt a lifelong connection to her homeland, although she owed her great success to Paris. Worth mentioning is the typographical design by Amma Bloom, which appears self-confident and yet manages to stage the diverse visual material in a wonderful way. Congratulations to the publishers and the editors.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's wonderful to be here from New York in the afternoon.
Yeah, so wonderful to see you. And so sorry, but I'm going to ask the one question about the cover, because some jury members really hated it and some loved it. Maybe you could explain the color choice to us.
Well, first, I have to say that it's uplifting to receive this award at a moment that's so turbulent and complicated in the United States of America, both because of the ongoing trauma of the virus and politically. And I thank you for that. And also to receive an award dedicated to architecture is exceptionally meaningful because it gives legitimacy to that aspect of Eileen Gray's practice that I think on the one hand is revered and on the other quite misunderstood. So I want to express my appreciation for that, and also to say that I accept this award collaboratively with Chloe, on behalf of the Bard Graduate Center, the Centre Pompidou, and our publisher, Yale University Press. And I also want to say that the book is actually being reprinted as I speak to you in a 4,000 copy print run, which is really I think a testament to the collaboration. And sadly, the exhibition closed less than 10 days before the stay-at-home order came from our governor. And it has just reopened this week. So your award is really a coincidence and incredibly timely. And it will be open just for a few weeks until the 28th. So about the cover, well, I don't know if Irma is here, but the cover is her choice, and I actually think that it's more than the cover. So working with Irma Boom, this great bookmaker, is an extraordinary experience, and of course, we can say that there is the ability to condense this incredible amount of research, and really that's the aspect of the book that from a historian and curator together with Chloe, I think we both feel exceptionally proud of. When the project moved from Paris to Dublin to New York, it opened up many new avenues for research. So Irma's exceptional capacity to organize content in a very lucid way is to her credit. But the book is more than the cover. If you see it, it is these amazing covering of the edges. And what Irma Boom is capable of doing, I believe, is to take a book and to make it like one makes architecture. That's also another reason why I feel so proud to have this award, because this book comes from the parts that an architect, similarly to the parts that an architect makes a building. Irma creates a program. There is the input of the commissioners. There is the creative side of the bookmaker. And then there is this incredible thing that happens that I believe she is uniquely capable of doing, which is the book, and I will say it this way, and I was discussing this with Irma the other day, but as an ontology, this book is a being, like architecture is being. So whether or not you think that the gray is a good color or you like the jacket is okay, debatable, but it is the way that this entity comes together as a totality, as an object, that I think so beautifully evokes Eileen Gray, that is really the essence of this. And I think that the jury being willing to give us a prize for that shows that somehow those who agreed understood that.
Yes, we did. Chloe, do you want to add something?
Yes, I was really surprised, and for me it was wow, because I am architect, but I never built anything, because after I decided to go to history of architecture, and yes, I was so touched to receive this award, and it's 10 years of work, because I was curating the show in the Centre Pompidou, and after it was important for me to go to Ireland with this exhibition, because Eileen Gray is Irish, and after to go to New York, because she was there in the beginning of last century. And I'm very happy because Eileen Gray was never study architecture, but with this book we explain how she was an architect, and we have 4 parts. We have first the beginnings, how she was studying arts, and how she was connected to a network in England with writers and artists. And after, the other part is being a designer, and after being an architect. So you could understand why we are so happy to have this award with architecture. And after, we did a lot of case studies with different writers and specialists and researchers. So it's 10 years of work with a lot of brilliant researchers in Ireland, like Jennifer Goff, or in New York, in London, also with Philippe Garner, and in France with Renaud Barès. So, and Caroline Constant also. So a lot of people who helped me to do this book. And thank you also to Nina and Irma, because without them, it would have been impossible to do those kind of research. It was a research in America, in the Getty, in Washington, in London, in New York, in Ireland, in France, everywhere, in Japan. So I'm happy for Eileen Gray, because she disappeared in the 70s, and now she reappeared here in the world. So I'm so happy for her, really. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much as well. And goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks.
Yes. Put all the microphones on for the ones on Zoom at the moment. Yes. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much for taking part in this 2-hour journey through our book award. To all the publishing partners in the world. And thank you so much to our jury who has been along with me here tonight. And thanks to the Society of Our Friends who financed this endeavor. And thanks to our technical support. And well, we do not really hope to repeat this next year in this way. But who knows what is going to happen with COVID the next month. Maybe we will see each other in physical again Wednesday evening of the book fair in the DAM library, but maybe it will be a mixture of what we see today and what we see on the other years. So goodbye to everyone and congratulations to all the winners. Thank you very much for taking part. Bye-bye.